All right. So whether you call this site T it is or carrierverify.com or the tintel.com, it's all going to take you to the same place. It's all part of T Technologies. And what it is basically a data aggregator. And you're going to hear from a lot of different people that sell data aggregation services from FMCSA that their product's the best. A lot of us are doing the same exact thing. So they're with minimal differences, obviously, and we're all pulling from the same amount of data, the same data from the same place, in general, from a base perspective. All FMCSA data is exactly the same, provided it's pulled correctly. I think we've got 20 plus APIs from FMCSA built into this site, so that's essentially the basis of it. But it's the other things that you have plugged into it and how you actually analyze that data that makes a site different than all the rest. So going into this, let's take a look at a couple different things. All right. So this is your dashboard. These are different data sets that we have. Again, like we said, we've got 20 some APIs in here. At the top, one of the things you'll see, this is a ticker of all your new authorities this week. And this is a ticker with FreightWaves and Freight Caviar news sources. This is basically all the different data sets that we have in here. We've got huge amounts of data. So you can come down here and see who we've looked at. And this is your dashboard. So when you log in here, this is your history. This is what you set up. And you can change the widgets on this thing to where if you want to add a different widget, you want a different focus, you have certain tools you'd like to use, and we can switch these up for you if you need it and they're not here showing. We can actually add some. But the purpose of this really is to look at roles, and I'm going to go through this kind of for brokers and shippers first. Let's talk about brokers and shippers. In a little over a month, you are going to have a verdict from the U.S. Supreme Court on the Montgomery case, and that's going to have a huge effect on whether brokers and shippers can be held liable for the carriers that they select and the behaviors that these carriers actually display while they're actually hauling your freight. So I look at this two different ways. One way I look at this is you have a moral, ethical, professional responsibility to hire the best carriers possible. The second way I look at this is when I was a broker, we didn't hire Central Transport if we actually wanted it to get there in one piece, or we just wanted it to get there. It could be really cheap to hire Central Transport. We could make killer margins on LTL shipments with Central Transport. But at the end of the day, is it good customer service to get a good rate if you know for a fact that the good rate is not going to get it there, it's not going to get it there in one piece? And I think that's one of the pieces that we have to look at in terms of an industry. We have bad carriers out there. There's no doubt about that. And we have good tools out there that can actually tell you that there's bad carriers out there. So really the point of a broker and shipper screening system is to make sure, one, that we're helping you choose the best possible carrier for your shipment and for your shipper client. So that's number one. But two, we're trying to help you make roads safer. So that's really the keys to this whole thing. So if you're going to want to look up a carrier, you're going to come here to Carrier Lookup, and you can also do this from my dashboard. It's going to give you the same exact tool. And I'm going to pull up a specific carrier. I'm going to pull one specifically that's out of service. So let's say you pull this guy up. This is going to bring up one of our all-stars here. And basically this is your information. So you can come here, out of service. There's a big red flag on the top of it that's saying, hey, you shouldn't hire us. There's a revocation on their record. Like, you see all of these things that are flashing right in front of your face. So the first thing you should do is hire them, right? No, you should probably say this is not going to be in our list and just red flag this carrier. You don't want them to be hauling your freight. For a couple of different reasons, not just liability, but again, back to your moral, ethical, professional responsibility of actually being a good broker, a good shipper, and just making sure that your product is getting, or your client's product is getting from A to B safely and in one piece, right? So everybody has a customer, whether your customer is a shipper or whether you're a shipper whose customer is your end client. All right, so this is going to give you all the information you actually need to hire a carrier. Now, if you want to come down here, you can look at who they haul freight for, all the different issues that they may have had. Maybe you're looking for authority revocations right here, basic scores, what their basic score is going to look like under new prioritization. And again, these are reverse engineered. This is not FMCSA data in the SMS and ISS categories because we don't get that information in the public. We have to actually reverse engineer that. It's the same thing everyone else does. Crossover of VINs, crossover of entities, who they're sharing business with, who they're sharing address with, all the violations that they have that you may be interested in or hopefully you're interested in. Their post-crash investigation likelihood is pretty solid here for a lot of different reasons, actually. Their laws fall under state of Illinois. So if you're someone who understands that all states have adopted federal regulation, there are state regulations that a lot of states have adopted just for their state and their state carriers if they happen to be operating in an intrastate capacity or their weight is that such where they fall under some kind of state exemption from federal regulations. You got insurance history here, so you can look for insurance cycling and all that good stuff. You want to look at who owns this company, where it's been in the past, common ownership, all that good stuff. You can kind of look at their corporate filing right here. This one's been terminated already. Surprisingly, it's not in Illinois. It's actually in California. So come down here. You can see all their shared VINs. You can see their fraud risk composite. That's not really important. If you want to look at UCC filings, this is something that I like to look at because this shows you exactly who this business is tied to from a debtor perspective. A lot of these debtors from different entities that supposedly have nothing to do with each other are actually tied together by the same debt instrument. So this is actually a pretty cool feature. You can click on that. It'll take you to that state. If you want to see federal litigation from the past, they've got 3 cases going on right now. I can't tell you what they all are. In some cases, it does tell you. In some cases, it doesn't. Once you have that information, you can actually go to Pacer and pull the entire file. If you're a carrier and you want to know what your service center is, it's here, but we're not talking about carriers right now. We're talking about brokers. But essentially, you're looking for a couple different things. And I know when I was a broker, my rule of thumb was this right here at the top. Do you have a safety rating? And this carrier does not have a safety rating. They are actually declared an imminent hazard for which they were put out of service following the Indiana crash. But a lot of brokers are really they don't look at any of this. They come in here and they don't have a well drawn out policy on carrier selection. What they're looking for is, are they unrated or are they satisfactory? They don't care about anything else. If they're either one of those things, they'll put that carrier to work. So that's one of the issues that we have here when brokers and shippers are actually looking for carriers. They're not looking at the big picture. They're just looking at the rating. And so few entities actually have ratings. So the point is, you have to really do your due diligence here, not just from a liability and an exposure perspective, but more or less from a customer service perspective, whether you're a shipper to your end client or a broker to your shipper client. Make sure you're getting it there safely and in one piece. But then second, if you're really looking for that moral, ethical, professional responsibility for who you're putting on the road.